What it is, pro wrestling fans out there in the YouTube world, the blogosphere. We're back with some more pro wrestling talk, a couple topics to get into, man. A pretty sad, tragic story being revisited here all these years later. We're going to get right to that. But first, you guys see the footage rolling as we're heading into this WWE pay-per-view, or should I say PLE, right? I've been watching wrestling a long time. I still always want to say PPV, pause. PLE just, I don't know, it just doesn't feel right, man, but that's what it is nowadays. But two clips real quick just to go over, as a lot of fans online right now. She's trending heavily. Bianca Belair, who's going to be in the women's elimination chamber. You see one clip of her just smashing on Liv Morgan, and then another one of a shot by CM Punk of her and her partner Naomi just having a good time backstage. I don't even think they knew Punk was filming at first, and then they just started cracking the fuck up. But everyone out there, what are your predictions for the Elimination Chambers? Is this card right too? Is there only a few matches? Is that right that we just have the women's elimination chamber match, the men's, and then an unsanctioned match between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, and then Tiffany Stratton and Trish Stratus versus Nia Jax and Candice LeRae? Is that it? Only 4 matches altogether, or am I bugging? Tap in and let me know. But yeah, man, Bianca Belair, like, trending heavily. A lot of fans, parody accounts, all that, want to see her win the strap. And as you see, the women's elimination chamber match is Liv Morgan versus Bianca Belair, Naomi, Alexa Bliss, Bayley, and Roxanne Perez. And in the men's, it's John Cena, CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins, Logan Paul, and Damian Priest. So hit the comments. Let me know your thoughts. Or no, I think there is some more matches. But yeah, predictions, who you think's gonna win, who you think should win, what makes sense. Like, hey, I think it would make sense storyline wise, such and such wins, but this is what I think is gonna happen and all that. But let's get into this story right here, man. You see, we're talking about a pro wrestling goddess, and it shook up the world when she passed away back in 2003. And you know, in the pro wrestling world, like, conspiracies run wild. They run wild in all different communities in the blogosphere, the internet. But in the wrestling world, to me, like, conspiracies really grow legs. And I don't know that I would necessarily call this a conspiracy, but somewhat adjacent. And we're talking about the total package, Lex Luger, who we know was with Miss Elizabeth after she split from her husband, a beloved individual within the world of pro wrestling. R.I.P. to him, the Macho Man, Randy Savage. And you know, it's wide known that Lex and her were together, that he had been arrested for a domestic case before with Miss Elizabeth, you know, on the other side, the victim of that crime. I don't know if the case ended up getting dismissed or what. And ultimately, they were partying together and she passed away. And people have always said it's Lex's fault. You know, Lex is a different guy these days. He's in a wheelchair. He's lost all his gains. He looks kind of like I don't want to, what's the word? A shell of his former self. But I've heard him speak numerous times where he's like, hey, I'm more, you know, confined to this wheelchair, but I'm more free and just happier than I ever was, as we're going to get into here, where he speaks about Miss Elizabeth's passing and takes accountability. And, you know, like, Lex is a different guy. You know, you're going to see when we get into this that, and he stated this before, that the character, the gimmick that he was running with for a while, the narcissist, that was a lot like the real life Lex Luger, that he was a bit full of himself, feeling the fame and all that. And at the end of the day, getting back to what I was saying about him being in the chair, he's like, I learned the hard way, but I'm a better person now. You know, he doesn't have trouble facing that he was a bit of an arrogant prick, if you will. And he is also diehard Bills Mafia, as he is from West Seneca, New York. I'm a diehard Bills fan as well. We're going to get that ring, man, next year. Chiefs fans, we're coming for y'all. I don't care what you guys say. But getting into the story here about Liz and Lex Luger. You see, pro wrestling legend breaks silence on accusations that he killed his girlfriend. Now, law enforcement looked into this. He wasn't charged. It was just a case of them partying together, and she passed away. And like I was talking about, Lex learning the hard way and being a changed man these days, being comfortable with himself, happier with himself in the wheelchair, and you know, everything he had to go through, trials and tribulations, obstacles of life. This is what it took for him to be a better man. At this point in time, I think it was 2003 that she passed away. He was partying a lot, and he says it right here, right? Miss Elizabeth was an iconic wrestling performer in her own right. She died in 2003, reportedly after ODing on painkillers and alcohol. Luger, who played a year of college football at Penn State, has long been blamed in the court of public opinion, and he opened up about it. This was on Chris Van Vliet. And Lex Luger didn't kill Miss Elizabeth. This is another headline, but he understands why fans hold him accountable. And listen to what he has to say, right? As he takes partial responsibility for the untimely death of Miss Elizabeth. How old was she when she passed away? I don't know off the top of my head, but I know she was young to DIE. And Lex still here all these years later. A lot of pro wrestlers and other individuals out of the pro wrestling world have passed away. It's a business where that happens all too much. But you know, on this show, they asked him straight up, you know what I mean? Like, what do you feel about this? Like, the pro wrestling world generally looks at you like you killed Liz. And again, he was not found legally responsible, but he said that he was a, quote, contributing factor to the lifestyle the pair were living at the time. And then this is a quote from him as well. I got messed up on the wine and women. I had too much time and money on my hands. Got messed up on drugs and alcohol, and had a period where I was a complete train wreck. Now, let me stop right there. Like I said, this is 2003. WCW doors have closed. He's at home just partying it up with Liz. And they both weren't doing well. And I mean, it's obvious. Anyone who's been down that road of addiction, if you've lost people, you know how it goes. This was a rock bottom. Obviously for Liz, she lost her life, but for Lex, and you know, but it wasn't, or no, it was a low, but it wasn't his rock bottom yet. I think he actually speaks about that on here. And real quick, I just want to say to anyone out there, I'm not judging. If you are getting high, it is so dangerous these days. There's so much fake Fenty Wap and research chemicals and all kinds of different drugs, and it's just not like it was. Not that I advocate for anyone to be doing drugs, but it's just not safe these days at all. So put that ish down. And if you got a friend, family member, loved one getting high, try to talk to them if you can, because it's a different era in the drug world. You will die. Shale Khan voice, even though that ain't a joke. But yeah, he says, well, oh yeah, I was a complete train wreck. The tragic passing of Elizabeth, obviously people go, well, he killed Elizabeth. Well, I didn't kill her, but I was a contributing factor to the lifestyle I was living and her being around me all the time. And she OD'd. Absolutely. When asked if he took responsibility for her death, Lex said, absolutely. Sure, there's always collateral damage to lifestyles like that, and she was part of it. So absolutely, sadly. No doubt fans hold me responsible, and I totally understand. I do. Yeah, I get it. She was a beloved character, Liz, and I'll always be tied as part of what happened with her. And I get that I have haters out there. I understand where they're coming from. I get it. So, that's a Lex Luger, just in my opinion, not hiding from the truth. Again, he didn't kill her. They were partying together. Couples do this all the time. Friends do this all the time. And at any time, someone that you're with could DIE. And in this situation with Lex being who he is, Miss Elizabeth being who she is and was, once again, RIP to her. It's just always rubbed fans the wrong way, where again, kind of on the conspiratorial side, there was narratives and things like that that got spun out there. But Lex ain't hiding from it. He didn't force D-Rugs down her throat, but he sat there, partied with her. They both enabled each other. They both were fueling each other's addiction, and he is taking that responsibility. So this is where I was saying that wasn't quite his rock bottom yet, but it led him to his rock bottom. Next, Lex Luger was asked if the death of Miss Elizabeth was his rock bottom. Surprisingly, he admitted that her death only led him to more depression, also due to the end of his career. So again, like I was talking about, the narcissist not being off from Lex Luger. You know what I mean? Like, he was known to be that kind of guy, full of himself a bit. And here he opens up about that. Like, Liz died and I was thinking about myself. You'd think it was, but that led me to more depression, where I felt completely unlovable. I was never going to be able to be a part of wrestling again after that happened, instead of, I hate to admit it, who I was back then. So he's saying, I'm paraphrasing, but you can hear it in his words, I was a selfish son of a bitch. She died, and I got depressed thinking about my career when my girl just died while I was sitting there partying it up with her. Quote, instead of being so grieving over the loss of Liz, I was grieving over what this would do to me and my career. Almost more so. I hate to admit it, back then when I was done in wrestling, in my fitness nutrition quest after wrestling, I was going to be a big fitness nutrition guy, to have my own nutrition company and exercise. Well, no one's going to want that for me now. So at the end of the day, you see the way things come together. Lex is the real life narcissist. That gimmick was art imitating life. And, Liz passes away. He's thinking about, man, I can't never go back into the pro wrestling world. I can't be this nutritional guy that I want to be. As you heard him, that was his big plans for when wrestling was over. And, that's what he was thinking about. And it led him to come to a realization of what reality is. But again, some people are just so selfish, they have to live the hard way. But it all came off the aftermath of Liz passing, even though people knew, or maybe some pro wrestlers held him accountable as well. Like, there's been a lot of people to say things about Mach and Liz's relationship, and then she's with Lex, and they didn't seem to be too good for each other. But yeah, man, like, this is a guy who is full of himself and isn't hiding from that fact right now. So I went into a massive depression, darkness, did more drugs, more alcohol. It wasn't until that point where I dug such a deep, dark hole. I always thought I could somehow work or be smart enough to get out of it. I knew I was at the bottom of a pond with no light, and there was no way to the top, and I was drowning in darkness. And that's when I turned to God. I knew there's no way I get out of this. So God, if you're really real, you have to get me out of this, because I'm done. So, he, like, some people, I don't know if you're spiritual, if you believe in God, whatever. I'm not here to talk about people's faiths, or if they're just spiritual and they don't believe in that or whatever. Whatever the case may be, there's people that some would call Bible thumpers that just start talking that when it's convenient, or do it for publicity or attention. But Lex has been a devout and member of I think Christianity, right? Like, he's serious about it and has been for a long time. And he's worked with WWE on the wellness side of things to talk to the new generation that comes in. I don't know if he still does it, but kind of like in the NFL when the draft happens and all that, and they have those events where people talk to the rookies, people that pissed all their money away, people that got arrested, people that, got hooked on drugs. They have those people come talk to you face to face and present the type of situations you're going to get into. And I guess Lex Luger could get into like the reality of everything, and like, hey, you're a pro athlete, act like one. Don't get caught up in the bullish. You got a big opportunity here. Don't waste it away doing something dumb. And from my understanding, Lex was doing something like that on in the pro wrestling world. But there you have it. Lex Luger, a changed man, and I truly believe he is. Again, I know a lot of people feel very strongly about this. They hate Lex Luger. Did you, and now hearing this, you forgive him, or do you feel the same, or have you never blamed him? Like, what is your thoughts about it all? At the end of the day, it was two people that were literally in a toxic relationship, and were just not doing very well. They thought they were, based on their status and money and stuff like that. But once you start getting high, whatever the drug that you're messing with is, things go bad. Whether it takes 3 months or 10 years, you're going to hit that rock bottom. And you heard from Lex, he was the real life narcissist, to the point that wasn't his rock bottom yet. He got selfish thinking about himself after his girl was deceased. That's just absolutely bonkers. So there you have it. That's the conclusion of this video. Hit the comments with your thoughts about the Elimination Chamber, PLE. You see, that time I got it right, not PPV, pause, or HPV, yuck. But comment your thoughts, and that whole story about Liz and Lex, RIP Liz, and to the Macho Man Randy Savage, and Lex Luger, pushing to be a better man every day and staying strong with his faith. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Don't forget to comment. That's what we do over here. We talk pro wrestling, old stuff, new stuff, theoretical stuff, fantasy booking, whatever what the case may be. It's just, we need that interaction in the comment section. That's what it's all about. So thank you again for tuning in. Subscribe, and I'm up out of here. Peace.